Hello there and welcome to another episode of TheGrassBlock. I'm Nixxus, I'll be your host for this video, and today I'm looking at clock circuits. Now, I don't really see these used often, but I thought I'd make a tutorial on it just for completeness. These are your basic clock systems. Now, it involves an odd number of redstone torches, or inverters, connected in series. Now what this means is that they can never settle down. If I can put it that way. I'll just disconnect this one and show what I mean. Here we have on, off, on, and off. But if I connect this one here, this one will then be turned on, which must turn that off, which must turn that on, and so on and so forth around, so it can never actually settle down into a fixed pattern. Now this causes it to pulse. It changes once per in-game tick. I'd rather use ticks instead of seconds because there's various outside programs that can change your game's tick rate. Now the basic idea is the more blocks are in your clock, the slower the ticks will be. With the lowest stable one being the 4 o'clock, but that's a bit too complicated for this tutorial. So I'm starting off with the 5 clock, which is this one of course I've just showed you. There is a 3 clock, but as I demonstrate here, it has a tendency to burn out. So, if I just leave this running for a second. And there we go, it's all burnt out. So, while it is fairly useful in some applications, it's not one you want to use for a timing system. Unless, of course, you're planning on making it stop when it burns out. I'll just quickly build one of these just so you get the general gist of how they work and how they're built. So I'll build a 5 clock just for simpleness. I'll alternate between cobblestone, which is this on my texture pack, and sandstone, just for, well, because I can. So once you have your blocks arranged in this sort of pattern, place torches all facing in towards the next block with a 1 block gap. Oops, misled that one. And once that's done, you can simply just wire it up. And then the pull starts. Now, because of how I've spaced this one, I can't really tap off a current from one of these wires. So if I do, it sets, because this wire is no longer going into this block. So instead, from a clock circuit, you generally take it off one of the torches. And then we still have our pulsing output without any stopping of the clock. And that's pretty much all there is to clock circuits, until you start getting into flip-flops and counters. But for now, I'm just going to leave it at that. I'll go into flip-flops and counters in maybe the next video or further on. Trying to show you a little practical use of clocks. Again, using my typical arrow dispenser. So, I've signed this for easier use. If you want the world, just send an email to TheGrassBlock@gmail.com and I'll send you a copy of it. So, I have my output here, which I've tapped off of this torch. And this, of course, goes to my usual arrow dispenser. Okay. Got my 3 clock. Yes, I did mention they burned out, but this is part of the circuit, because I'd rather have a faster firing arrow set even if it does burn out. Seeing as more arrows is more damage and therefore more dead creeps. Now, here I've got my input, which is just this lever. I've got this connected to a repeater. Now this isn't because I actually need the repeater itself, it's just that I need this torch that's on the same logic state as this input wire. This means I can tap off 2 different equivalent wires from it. This means I can connect it onto here and here, and thus break the entire clock circuit. But of course, whenever I switch this off, this clock circuit will be left to its own devices and will pulse rapidly. So, if I just flick the switch on, give you a little display. So, we have it rapid fire, and until the torches eventually burn out, at which point I can just flick it down and up again to reset it. So yeah, that's a basic clock circuit. Now there is one thing I put in with clocks, although it's not technically a clock in itself, and that would be a rapid pulsar. Now, my preferred version of the rapid pulsar looks a bit like this. 2 blocks, torches on either side, have my output there, and then put 2 on top of that, and it rapidly pulses. This burns out incredibly quickly, but it does provide one of the fastest pulses you'll get in this game. Like for example, if I just put some arrows in here, or whatever else I have lying around. Don't have any arrows. Have me 1 second while I nick some from this dispenser. So if I fill this up with arrows, I think it's actually going too quick for the dispenser, so I can slow that down a bit. There we go. Now that's some serious rapid fire, but it fires faster than mob. Well, when mobs get hit, they have a short period of invulnerability, and that'll fire faster than that period of invulnerability. So it's a lot of wasted arrows. But of course, it's fun if you just want to, well, waste something or fill it with cake. Now, the one other thing I put in with clock circuits, yet still not technically a clock, is a blink circuit. And this works kind of like this. You have your 1 block with 4 torches on it. On top of each of those 4 torches you place a second block, if it'll let me. There we go. Just to isolate them. And in the centre a piece of redstone dust. Now, as you can see, that's actually just randomly flashing a single torch to get us going. So if I just bring some lights out, see how this works a bit. It does make a very horrible hissing noise, but it's one of those things you gotta live with the circuit. Now this is the equivalent to a rapid pulsar, but it flicks off one of the torches randomly. So, oops. Sorry about this. Quickly. Yeah, there we go again. Okay, so just torch on top of each of these so you can see how it's pulsing. Throw on our torch now. Okay, now you should be able to see it rapidly, or maybe not. That was a bad idea. Just have a look at it down here. Now if you watch these wires, they're kind of randomly pulsing. And this can be useful if you want to use, well, to be honest, I actually don't know what this could be used for, but it's cool nonetheless. So, that's a basic introduction to clocks and rapid circuits. If you have any comments, just chuck it onto YouTube or send an email to TheGrassBlock@gmail.com and I'll get back to you. Or Zen will forward the email to me and he'll get back to you. Thanks for watching and I hope you enjoy. Thanks a lot.